I want to bridge into a little bit of the spectrum sharing discussion because we, sort of talked about how well optimized the PAWR platforms are to support some of that experimentation. Um, is the thinking that we will be able to see some solutions actually potentially prototyped? There's all kinds of different spectrum sharing, right? There's time-based, there's frequency-based, there's, within geographic areas, all of these things. Um, what is our thinking in terms of the types of scenarios that might be testable on the different platforms and might be useful for the NTIA and government and folks investigating this to be aware of?
From our perspective, in terms of spectrum sharing, our focus at this point is mostly the SciNerds program that was mentioned before, and so we, roughly speaking, doing two sort of big things. They both relate to using PAWR to prototype radiodynamic zone functionality. And so there's two aspects to that. So the key one, I think that might be of interest to folks is we are developing what's sort of in the RDZ community is called the zone management system. So it's sort of the spectrum intelligence that would operate an RDZ, and we're prototyping one of those. And in fact, we have a software framework we call Open ZMS that that will be open, or it is open as an open source. And the goal there is to create a framework that others can use, but also plug into, right? So it's a cloud native modular design, all the right kind of buzzwords and technologies. So obviously we're using that within PAWR, and we're pretty close to having that as the spectral intelligence in our framework, as opposed to what we had before. And that includes, we collaborated with folks from Georgia Tech on a digital spectrum twin, which is sort of the abstraction of that spectrum intelligence. So that's one big push. And then just to make this real from an end-to-end perspective, the other thing that we are doing is to explore different use cases associated with that. And so we have a couple of those that we're exploring on PAWR. One was just GAA use among CBRS users, but then we're also looking at sharing with weather radar systems, which, of course, very sensitive topic right there, and sharing with incumbents. And then there's one that's, I think, worth mentioning. It's just because it's a little bit more interesting. So we're collaborating with Kevin Gifford at Colorado on spectrum sharing with radio telescopes. No, for people who know PAWR, is we don't have a radio telescope in Salt Lake City, but the basic mechanism there was emulated in terms of the workflow on PAWR. And we're in the process of integrating that with our OpenZMS system as an example. And we actually expect to do a field trial with them at the Hat Creek Radio Observatory in California in March.